Hey guys, Legendary Grimlock here, and welcome to another surprise matchup. Today we have Godzilla in Zone Fighter versus Optimus Prime in Megatron. Bayverse versus Showa. So without further ado, let's begin, and we're going to start off with the Showa series. Now, believe it or not, this is actually pretty simple. They're 4D, universal. I mean, it's so easy, like dang. I remember last time I had something that's this simple, right? But the fourth dimensional stuff really just comes from Zone Fighter. So in all honesty, you could just use that, scale Godzilla to him because they fought relative. And then Godzilla's villains also fought and beat Zone Fighter. Like Zone Fighter was struggling with Gigan. He did pretty good against Gigan, but once King Ghidorah kind of came around, it was like, geez, somebody help. Yeah. So the monster named, if I remember this name correctly, I think it was Dorora. I hope I'm saying that right. I might just call it Dora. Yeah, but this monster was able to bend a fourth dimensional space, right? And Ultraman was having a hard time touching him at first, till he figured out, oh, wait a minute, I could destroy this. Hold up, wait a minute, what am I doing? And he actually goes on to shatter that fourth dimensional space and then proceeds to beat Dora. Like, it's just, he just does it. And then you have his encounters with Gigan, Godzilla, and obviously, like I said earlier, King Ghidorah. So yeah, it's pretty consistent for the fourth dimensional, stuff to be there. Because again, these guys would scale to and sometimes above Zone Fighter. I'm not saying Zone Fighter is weak by any means, but again, it's kind of like that standard scaling right there. You have monsters that Godzilla can thrash, but then again, they just get one tap by King Ghidorah. It's pretty simple and straightforward here. But with Godzilla as well, being able to fight against monsters that can give Zone Fighter a hard time, he would also scale to that fourth dimensional, scaling here, which is again the universal margin. Now, as for speed, I think this is pretty simple, but again, the Showa era has pretty much shown that they're faster than light, with the Godzilla universes in general being infinite in size, and monsters like King Ghidorah, Gigan, Megalon, and I believe Mechagodzilla as well, being able to cross these infinite, spaces with ease here, even making it to Earth in little more than just a couple days or sometimes just a couple hours. So again, this will put them in that faster than light to immeasurable levels of speed here. Now, as for their hacks and abilities, I think Godzilla is pretty straightforward and simple, He's got his atomic breath. Obviously, this one is actually really intelligent. I'm not saying Godzilla can't be intelligent or nothing like that, but I'm just saying Showa Godzilla actually is, like, ridiculously intelligent. He's got hands, too, He's actually, like, boxing up monsters and stuff, and was actually able to fight a Mechagodzilla that was actually dealing some serious damage to King Caesar in a hand-to-hand fight. So again, Godzilla is actually pretty skilled, actually does have a little bit of martial arts capability, but not in the same level as, characters like Zone Fighter, King Caesar, and so on and so forth, right? And again, his atomic breath, being able to harm and even injure other monsters like King Ghidorah, Rodan, Mothra, and etc. All right. Now, moving on to Zone Fighter, obviously he's the more skilled of the two here, and he possesses a lot. Dude has every weapon and every form of energy manipulation in the book. All right. I think he can actually cloak himself. I'm not sure. But speaking of his normal abilities, he has energy manipulation. He can create shields. He can fire devastating beams of energy capable of harming, again, characters like Gigan, King Ghidorah, Dorora, and many other monsters. Okay. He's able to use meteor missiles, which are missiles meant for taking on and actually injuring kaiju and stuff. He also has a ice blast, which actually freezes the opponent on a sub-zero level, and then he's able to just shatter them like glass. I mean, what more do you want from the guy? I mean, he's got it all. Like, he's got it. Like, dude is a walking, myriad of destruction. He's a walking ninja fused with a tank, all right? But let's say if you don't want to believe the fourth dimensional stuff, right? Okay, so there are many things within the Showa era which indicate that King Ghidorah is much stronger and much more powerful than even black holes here, which would again put him around the solar system margin, as he was stated to be the strongest creature, or again the strongest thing in space, which would again put Godzilla as one of the few more powerful beings in the verse here. While King Ghidorah was stated to be above him, it is shown that Godzilla is able to fight relative to him. And then you have other monsters like Sanda, Goriah, or, you know, the Gargantuan brothers and stuff like that, Frankenstein, and so on and so forth, Kong, and, you know, I think you guys get the point, that would also scale to that star level to solar system margin. I think it's pretty simple and pretty straightforward, but if you don't want to believe that, we can go even lower and go to star. The reason why I'm saying we can go lower is because I know there are going to be a lot of people who don't believe in the fourth dimensional stuff here, and again, there are even those who don't believe in the solar system stuff for the Showa era, which again is ridiculous. They consistently have those solar system to universal levels of attack potency and power. So I think that really does it here, though. And in conclusion, and I'm going to start doing this now and start labeling these power levels here, the lowest you can get the Showa era of these two is large star to solar system level, with the highest you can get them is around the universal plus level or the 4D level. So with that being said, let's move on to their opponents, Optimus Prime and Megatron from the Bayverse. Now, the Bayverse actually has some consistent solar system level scaling now, and star level scaling, to believe it or not here, and this actually comes from the Allspark. Now, the Fallen actually confirms here that the Allspark was able to absorb and was able to, you know, harvest the power of supernovas, which was how the Allspark came into power in the first place. And again, the Autobots were using, sorry, not the Autobots, the Cybertronians, I should say, before the whole war and stuff happened, they were able to use the star harvesters to not only blow up the stars, but to actually harvest them for the Allspark, meaning the Allspark was consistently feeding on the energy of supernovas, with even stars being bigger than the ones they would destroy the last time. So again, the solar system scaling is pretty consistent here. Then you have, again, probably the lower end, which is star level, where Autobots like Camshaft are able to use the energies of the Allspark to enhance his armor. Now, there are Autobots that consistently scale to this and consistently scale above this, like Cliffjumper, Jazz, RC, so on and so forth here, with characters like Thundercracker actually being able to not only, again, scale above these characters, but being able to one-shot them, which is absolutely ridiculous, if you guys get my drift here. Now, how would this go back to Optimus and Megatron? Well, it's pretty simple. They're the top two. They're the top dogs of the verse here. Keep in mind that Optimus and Megatron have gone through massive changes over the Bayverse continuity. Even the likes of Dark of the Moon, the game here, which is probably the only game I'm really going to count here because that's the only one in the canonical Bayverse timeline, with you know, Optimus and Megatron in their night forms here being relative. If not, Megatron is slightly superior to Optimus. Now, as for their weapons, Megatron himself possesses his fusion cannon and his Kaon sword. He also possesses his jet mode, which I think can come with missiles as well. Not too sure. I probably would have to rewatch the movie again here just to kind of get a good look at it. But Megatron is pretty powerful and durable. Like, he took on Hound, Hot Rod, Bumblebee, and Optimus all at the same time, and was actually holding his own pretty well here. And in all honesty, it looked like he could have possibly won it by himself too. I mean, all he had to do was really blast Bumblebee, turn his attention to Optimus, then maybe deal with Hot Rod and Hound here. And I mean, there have been plenty of times where he's like almost killed Hound in this movie, so it's ridiculous here. Optimus possesses the Star Saber, and he also possesses his, I think, his Iacon shield, I believe it's called here, which also doubles as a cannon that would be much stronger than his conventional weaponry, like his dual barrel pistols and stuff like that. So yeah, he's got a pretty extensive arsenal, and he can fly. Now, as for the speed here, Optimus and Megatron would easily be FTL. You can easily scale them above Jazz, who in the novels moves as fast as lightning itself, which is 1/3 the speed of light. So it's very consistent and very easy here. You also have the sheer fact that Megatron himself and Seekers are capable of flying through space, which is, again, a light speed feat. However, Megatron himself is actually much faster than that. Considering the sheer fact they're able to cross distances in little more than just a couple hours, this would put them in faster than light. And considering Megatron also went from Cybertron and followed the Allspark through pretty much space itself here, that would put Megatron at FTL. And again, keep in mind, this is the first movie where his last night form would actually be stronger, faster, more durable than his previous stage, and Optimus would follow suit as well, with him possibly being slightly slower than Megatron. Obviously, I don't think his flying speed would be equivalent to Megatron's jet speed, but he should be able to reach the likes of light speed at the very least here. So the lower ends for the Cybertronians are obviously Star, Star, Large Star, stuff like that, while their highest ends are Solar System. So without further ado, I think it's safe to say we can begin and state who wins this matchup more often than not. Now, I think it's kind of clear, going by their high ends and their low ends here. I think low end versus low end, they're pretty equal here. Star to Star, and maybe low Solar System if you guys want to just lowball it there. But again, they are equal to each other at their low ends. However, with their high ends, which are consistent for each other, the monsters absolutely dominate. They're stronger, they're definitely more durable, they have more potent hexes, their attack potency is much higher. Well, Megatron and Optimus could easily, cause maybe some minor damage. Maybe they could make him bleed just a little bit. Maybe give him a nosebleed or a little bit of trouble. But again, that's me just stretching it. They really don't have too much for them to showcase that they can go up against someone as fast and as powerful as the Showa era of Godzilla and Zone Fighter. Zone Fighter's arsenal is actually much bigger than theirs. Like, dude is packing. Again, he's a ninja mixed with a tank. Like a whole military arsenal. There's really just no stopping him. Like, he's just him across the board here. And the sheer fact that both Megatron and Optimus are relative or slightly relative to each other, their only advantage really is speed and intelligence. Yes, they are more intelligent than Showa Godzilla and Zone Fighter, but that's not going to cover them by much here. They could probably prolong the fight, considering I would definitely say they're faster here. But again, with the scaling, even with them having definitely better showings, I would definitely say that as well. Showa has way better showings in the Bayverse. You have King Ghidorah, who can pretty much absorb the entire sun. He's known to eat supernovas. Black holes are really just less comparable to him. Like, he's the mightiest thing in space and stuff like that. Godzilla still being able to harm him despite all that stuff, It's, it doesn't look too good here. They get outscaled. They get outmuscled. They can't do anything. In all honesty, it's bad across the board here. Because again, they have fourth dimensional scaling. How do you beat that? With the Bayverse, they have at bare minimum Solar System. Now, I know what you guys are going to say, but didn't you say Bayverse Optimus could get to Hyperversal? Yes, I did. But again, I was also using a composite form of scaling, using a composite Bayverse. Meaning I was counting games like Rise of the Darkspark, which is an alternate Bayverse timeline, scaling it off of the Align continuity, or the Transformers Prime continuity, if you will. And then, giving the rest of the Transformers cosmology, and again, taking the Fallen's quote seriously, that he could destroy all of creation. Meaning he could destroy his entire universal stream, which would be in the hyperversal to outerversal categories. But this is just standard Bayverse without that crossover scaling. they don't really make it that far in the Showa era. They probably beat the less powerful monsters, but again, those less powerful monsters would still scale to Godzilla and Zone Fighter, so it's not looking good. But that's going to be all today. I would say they take this low to mid difficulty because, again, intelligence and speed-wise, I would definitely still give it to the Bayverse. But hey, that's going to be all for today. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and share with your friends. And y'all have a blessed day. Peace.